Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's FPV podcast. This week, we're going back to wings, and we're going to go with a wing company that is really well known. Their team is also really well known. But before we get into them, Elvin, say hello.
Hello, everybody. I just want to say hello, and don't forget to buy that stuff from Heli Direct and get them pulse batteries right there. But this week, everybody, we got Team Legit right here in the house. One of the most known teams out here and on the West Coast for flying wings, and they do have some drone. They are some quad pilots. They're good enough to be there at every event. So let's introduce them this week. We got Josh, Johnny, Ryman, and Ian. Say hello, guys.
Hey there. What's going on? For now, it's just going to be Josh and I. Ian and Ryman are running around the shop somewhere. They'll probably chime in here in a bit later on, and we'll drag their butts into the show as well.
Cool. Bunch of misfits. They're going to play pranks on you while you're on the podcast, and then we get to catch it on video. It'd be awesome. You hear that, guys? All right, so let's go ahead and get some of the background on you guys. Josh, why don't you start us off? How'd you get into RC and FPV and all that?
RC I've been doing since I was about 6. I've been doing I'm 21 now. I've been doing RC cars. I worked at an RC car specific hobby shop. I did everything from tuning nitro RC cars to, building custom RC rock crawlers, the works. And I kind of got into the FPV thing. I saw it on a short course truck racing video, and I was like, oh, that looks cool. And that was like Phantom 1 era. Everybody was building big 450 stuff. The KK2 had just come out. And I started with that. I started building my first quad. Old school stuff, just like that. I recognize all that. For your first hit the market. I built a 450 Talon from a bunch of Hobby King parts. And back then, you think Hobby King's quality control is bad now? Back then, you get I was ordering 2 or 3 extra parts, and I would inevitably burn 1 or 2, whether my fault or theirs. It would happen. So I was having, I would get it was like a 1-to-1 flight ratio, right? You get one good flight, and then you'd have another one flight where the thing would just fall out of the sky and crash and break and build more parts. Yeah. So that was what I started with, and I got so tired of trying to fix this quadcopter that was always breaking and waiting a month and a half for Hobby King to ship their stuff here because they were just in China. Is when I got into the wings, and I started off with a what's called a GWS slow stick, which is a high wing, basic bare bones trainer plane that I retrofitted with a brushless system and just Hobby King parts. I was running an old Futaba radio and stuff, and my FPV system consisted of a GoPro Hero 2 that was zip tied to the bottom of this thing and had an old school Boscam 5.8 transmitter that was the size of, I don't know, the size of your fist practically. The things were huge.
It was almost as big as that GoPro you had on it.
Yeah, pretty much. And they had giant heat sinks, and they would get so hot that it would I remember having zip ties fail because they got so hot they would melt through the plastic and things like that. So
right through the foam.
Yeah,
too.
I got started with that. And I live up in a big rural area, so I had a lot of space. That was never the issue. It was, I was 16, 17 at the time, so I didn't have a lot of cash. So that was more of the restrictions as far as flying. So that's kind of why I got into wings, because if you crash a quad, parts are going to break. And with a quad, you got to buy parts. Unless you have a CNC machine or whatever, you got to buy parts. Right. Whereas with wings, it was okay, this is foam. If I break it, I can just hot glue it back together.
True.
So that was more along the lines. And I started flying that, and I was flying that, and I got into the pop wings from nitro planes for a while. I flew a lot of. I probably had 4 or 5 of those at least, and I found I was always searching. Just me and a buddy flying FPV, and I was always looking for. I was like, there's got to be more people in LA who do this. I can't be the only one here. And I stumbled upon an RC groups forum for SoCal FPV aviators, which now is 1,000 members strong or something like that. And I went to a meetup at a place called Hanson Dam back when we could fly there. And I went there, and I was flying around with my slow stick and my wings and having a good time. And this is kind of where I ended up meeting Johnny. So I start flying. This dude rolls up in a Chevy Silverado and immediately starts pulling out like 1.3 gear and airplanes and all of this stuff. And I'm like, all right, who's this guy? So I'm like wandering around, and immediately he starts like, hey man, I see you fly wings. Like, look at this plane I just made. Like, this is the legit wing, and this is like a V1 prototype legit wing, right? It's like a USPS box with spars sticking out of it and stuff. And I'm like, man, this guy wants $100 for this kit. Like, it's like, man, I don't know. My $30 pop wings sure fly pretty good, and I can buy quite a few of those. But anyways, day goes on. And I offered to throw Johnny's. He had a full-size Sky Hunter. I don't know how familiar you guys are with the Sky Hunter. The big 2-meter giant big plane. And I was just wandering around, watching other people fly. And all of a sudden, from the other side of the field, I hear, "Where's that big, tall Norwegian-looking mother effer? He was going to throw my plane, right?" This is Johnny. So I'm giant. I'm 6'6", so like I already have an advantage for throwing airplanes, right? So I throw his plane. He gets like a mile out or so, and he goes, "Oh, my GoPro isn't rolling." I was like, "Okay, well, come in, land it, and start. I'll start the GoPro, and we'll throw it again. Like, no big deal." So he's like, "Okay." He comes in and lands, and I'm already, way down on the field where he was going to land. So as I'm walking up to it, all of a sudden I just see this mushroom cloud of smoke come out of the top of this Sky Hunter.
No. And
I'm like, "Oh no!" And I go running over to it, and like baseball slide, and like rip the batteries out. It turned out that he had bumped the throttle on the on the motor, and the ESC was cogging against the ground and lit the ESC on fire on the inside of the plane.
Ouch.
Yeah, and ever since then, we've been buddies. I ended up getting the legit wing shortly after that, and ever since. I mean, we've been friends for like 4 years now almost, and just been flying ever since. And it's progressed from flying slow sticks to 100+ mile an hour legit wings down the sides of mountains.
That's pretty cool.
That Sky Hunter never smelled the same again.
Hey, you can blame it on that Norwegian effer. He's the one that did that.
He wasn't running fast enough. That's what it was.
Which is funny. That plane went on to live a really fun life. That was the one. We have a video on our YouTube channel of us flying like 20 miles out one way and crashing it like 10 miles away from us in the desert on the way back.
Wow.
But that's the same plane. So that plane lived a long life after I caught it on fire.
Oh no, you didn't catch it on fire. You know the truth. Yeah, all right, Johnny, he gave you a good segue. So why don't you introduce yourself and give us your thoughts on Mr. Couldn't throw it right. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, so I'm Johnny. I've been in the RC thing since I was about 4 or 5. Back then, my uncle got my cousin and I a Hobby People Cessna airplane, and it ran on brush motor and nickel metal hydride, which is like the heaviest and the worst power plant you could ever get. And my cousin and I tried to fly that plane for hours until the battery just gave up and our arms were tired of throwing it and pushing it. Being young, obviously you don't have a lot of fun. So life went by until about 2010. My back then fiance, now my wife, went into law school. I don't know if you guys have anybody in law school, but physically they're there, but mentally nobody's home. So I got really bored, and I wanted to take up a hobby. So I bought a Champ, the Hobby Zone Champ, and started flying that thing around. It was a great little starter plane for $90, and I'd get off work and fly that every now and then. And as time progressed, I always thought, how cool would it be if you can fly this thing, live, or if you can fly it using, video gear. I'm sure technology's caught up. So I did a bunch of research, read a bunch of RC groups and FPV lab forums, and just, started finding out what FPV was. And that was about seven years ago. And ever since then, as you guys can see, the market has just taken off, and, the hobby's just gotten bigger and bigger and whatnot. So sometime around, I think 2003 or 2004, I had a group of guys that we were flying, and we were I guess you say the original Team Legit, which was a couple of older sloping guys and one of my really good buddies. And we had worked on this project, and we wanted to get this plane in space, and we wanted to, get it up there, get the gear, and do it legit and do it right. So that was the project we went to do. We were about 3 months away from launch, and then all of a sudden, I see this video by David Vendestel, the speed over Sweden, and he had done the same thing. He kind of beat me to it, and I just kind of was like, oh man, there goes all the hype. What now? So that project kind of died. The older guys moved away, and my buddy James also moved away. So Team Legit kind of fell apart, and that kind of leads me to big, tall, 6.5 foot tall Norwegian-looking mofo. I had been part of the Facebook group, and I guess today's technology, the world isn't as big as you think. With the social media and stuff, it brings people together pretty well. And we had done a meetup, and Josh showed up, and he threw my plane. He did a very good job, by the way, throwing the plane. It was my fault for bumping the throttle, and he saved the plane, if anything. And since then, he built a legit wing. I'd call him up and say, hey, let's go fly down this canyon. Let's go fly down here. Or, hey, let's go up to this area. And, he was always down and ready to go, partly because he didn't have a job, and two, he was in school. And, when you're a college kid, you got a lot of free time here and there and whatnot. But from there, we added another guy, Timmy, and Tim Hayward. He's not here. He's not a big social media guy, but he's always out with us. And then just one by one, people just started kind of, becoming part of the group. And back then it was a little more open, and pretty much if you came out flying with us multiple times, you could be part of the group. And went from there. And this is Team Legit where we're at now with all the crew guys and stuff.
Yeah, and we should probably list everybody off, right?
You got
12
Go members, ahead. Right? How many?
Shout out real quick.
Members now?
Go for it.
So we've got, I guess in chronological order. So it's Johnny and myself, and then we all went camping in Tronas, and that's where we met Tim and Bob.
Mm-hmm. Ethan was there too.
Ethan was there too. My buddy Ethan, who I'd flown with for forever. And then we have Ian, who I met shortly thereafter as well. When
Ian's a funky story, but yeah.
Then we have Ian. We had a couple of guys like Max was kind of here and there. Harry was kind of in and out. And then we also have, who are really solid on the team, we have Shane and Heather McDowell, the Flash Gangsters. They've got a really big social media presence, and they're awesome pilots. They've been our buddies for
besides being super hot. I mean, if you guys seen Shane, he's a good-looking guy.
I'll take your word.
Yes, we'll take your word for it.
Heather's cute too.
Yeah.
You ever seen her get mad?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have some.
Not happening to me.
Yeah. Got Volker.
Yeah, we have Volker. We have some honorary members like let's see, who else do we have?
Pete from Drone Squad is one of them. He'll never admit to it, but he's part of the team.
For sure. Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to rag him on that. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
for sure.
You should.
I like that new update on Squad too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I actually helped him last weekend at Flight Fest. I was in his booth. Me and Ian both were.
Who else do we got? Is that?
Let's see. We've got the McDowells. Who else is current? We have Ramen. Ramen's the newest addition.
And the youngest.
Yeah. He's the new guy who he literally lived up the street. So when we opened the storefront, he just came in one day, and he was in here all the time, every day. It
was more expensive to have Ramen as a customer than have him as an employee, if that makes any sense. And he'd ask Ian a bunch of questions, and Ian was like the main guy that was here, and it's taken away from his time from working and doing stuff. So I'm paying basically Ian to talk to Ramen, but then I came in one day and I said, listen, I was about to tell him to get out because he was here all the time, and then I said, listen, you want a job? And he kind of looked at me like, who the heck are you? Because he hadn't seen me at the shop. And he left and then came back and asked Ian, who was that guy? Ian's like, oh, that's the owner. He basically offered you a job. Do you want it? And so now Ramen works here, and it's cheaper to have Ramen
cool
as an employee than a customer.
That is a really cool story. And by the way, just to wrap back around to how you guys met, Johnny, kudos to you to let a total stranger to throw your wing, because that's those big wings, they're kind of hard to throw. Even if he is a big guy, it's like there's a level of trust that you really need to give to a guy to, because you could wreck one of those things pretty easily.
Yeah, it's true.
Like I said, foam is just one hot glue away from being fixed.
And basically, the definition of a crash is when the airplane strikes something, right? That's considered a crash. So if it hits the ground, it crashes. I don't know, 399 feet up with his arm extended, you're pretty much already flying the second he lets go. And then after that, it's up to you if you keep it in the air or not.
Josh, I did not realize you were 6'6". That you are one tall person.
Tall.
Yeah.
I remember how tall he is because I'm looking at his armpits when he's talking to me. You know?
Yeah. I'm all hunched over trying to get into the camera.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
He lives in his own
You need to shave those things, by the way.
Oh, hey, that's wrong. That's wrong. But that's pretty cool. We always love to hear the stories in which, like the team actually forms around friendships. And it seems like that's how you guys did it, is that you just found people with a common goal, common bond, and then you work towards something. And like, how did the team name come to be? Was it just from that first project that you decided to call yourself Team Legit?
Yeah, there was a little backstory behind that. Josh brought up a point. We forgot to mention Alex. He's our token Swede. So after the Swede, David Vendestel, did our project, whatnot, and then he started being on Flight Test. That's, I think, what made Flight Test so good, is that they have their own token Swede. So we thought, if we're going to be any kind of a good presence in the FPV community, we have to have our own token Swede. So we recruited Alex that we met at one of our races, which we could talk about later on.
Yeah.
But going back to what were we talking about? I totally went off topic.
Team Legit.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. See, that's my AD kicking in. So the name of the team started with, I guess, Team Legit. V1 version 1 group. James and I were working on the space plane one night really late, and we had quite a bit of beers, and we were pretty drunk, hanging out in the garage, because that was like our hangout spot. And back then memes weren't really popular. I mean, a meme would come up, it was great, but now, I mean, memes are life. We were just talking earlier about a meme can make or break anything these days, and to be immortalized as a meme is not how you want to go down in history. We looking at a meme, and it was an old, like, beat up Econoline Ford van, rusted up with like padlocks on the windows, and on the side it said Hannah Montana concert shuttle, and underneath it said "Seems legit," and we were just busting up laughing so hard that I think James threw up, and I couldn't, I almost lost consciousness. And the next day we were talking about it, and he's like, "Man, last night was pretty legit, wasn't it?" I was like, "Yeah, we were a couple peas in a pod. We're Team Legit right there." And then from there, it just kind of stuck as Team Legit. But it came out of a meme, just like everything else today.
Hey, it's stuck, and it's a good name, and you're actually pretty well known nowadays, even in the FPV world. I mean, the multi-rotor world, the quad world. So pretty cool name, and I think it works well for you guys. So like when you guys, you formed the team, right? It was Johnny and Josh. Like, did you have like a specific reason to add people, or was it just like, he's a cool guy, he can hang out, why don't you just throw him onto the team? What was the thought process?
Do you mean like the criteria for joining the team?
Yeah, if there was one, or yeah.
There was.
Yeah, the criteria was you fly FPV and you're not dumb.
Elvin, I'm sorry, you do not meet that criteria, so you cannot.
Oh, man.
That's mean.
I'll take it.
No, there was
you guys know that he's 1 year older. Don't forget that his birthday was a couple days ago, so he's an old fart now.
I am an old fart. It's all right. It's all right. We get to tease each other.
But in all actuality, as far as criteria for the team, I think it was just like who we got along. Right? It was we all did the same thing, right? We all fly airplanes or quads or whatever, and we all enjoy like camping and flying and having a good time. And we just kind of kept the drama out of it, which is like the biggest part, because there's a lot of drama that circulates through this hobby. So like, I mean, just by your guys' faces, I mean, we all so it was just kind of like, it was just guys who wanted to have fun and just wanted to have a way to kick back at the end of the day and fly airplanes and have a good time. So
back then there really wasn't like a store, it wasn't really like a marketing thing. It was mostly just a group of guys and girl now just getting together and enjoying what we like, which is flying toys through advanced technology. And one of the criteria was you had to have a legit wing, of course. We don't.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be like you flew a legit wing and you loved it, and then you're like, oh man, I want to fly this more often. I want to come hang out with you guys more. And then sure, just come hang out with us. And it was, instead of a team like you would think, it was more like a group, a family of just guys hanging out. And hey, what do you guys want to do this weekend? Where do you guys want to fly this weekend? Do you guys want to go up to this spot? Do you guys want to hit up that spot? So it was mainly like a little clique of guys just flying FPV, and that's kind of how it started.
That was cool. That's pretty cool. So this kind of leads us to like the next topic is how did you come about wanting to start a store? When did you jump from, cool family group of guys to, hey, let's try to make a business out of this. And let's try to sell some of these wings.
Yeah. It was I never intended to do this stuff, to do the FPV store. It wasn't part of the plan. What it ended up coming out of was the demand of the market, a demand of the basically getting FPV components and having the know-how. So what originally happened, there was like 7 of us, and we all know if you buy things in quantity from overseas, you get a little discount on them, right?
Right.
So what we would do is, hey, who needs a camera? I need a camera. Okay, cool. So we buy like, RunCam was one of our oldest accounts that we had for a long time. And I actually set up a dealer account with RunCam just so we can get our own cameras for the team. We set up an immersion account so we can get video transmitters for the team. We all wore goggles. So we set up a Fat Shark account and we'd buy in bulk. So what would happen is we'd buy in bulk, and I'd buy, 20 cameras because the cost of the camera would go down, 30% or whatever. Everybody would use them. And then the rest of them, I would turn around and sell them at retail, but here in the U.S. So the point was somebody can get the camera with 1 or 2 days rather than waiting for the slow boat from China, week, 2 weeks. So they pay that regular price, and then it started turning into a profit, and then there was more of a demand, and people started saying, where can I get, can you get more? Can you get more? And I would only sell them on the classifieds on RC groups and things like that.
Yeah, and it was all run out of, he lives in his, little 2-bedroom house in Arcadia at the time. So we had a 1-car garage that was barely big enough for 1 car that for a while me and Ian were working out of every day.
Yeah, it was.
So, and it got to the point to where it started off as like, okay, we sold like mini pop wings and some cameras and this and that. And it got to the point to where we had his garage so full we could barely walk through it. We had back of shed of his house totally full of stuff. We had stuff on the side of the house covered in tarps, and it got to the point where like we just don't fit.
Yeah.
Like we had no
We just don't
space left. Like, when we would get, like me and Ian would get there in the morning and we would open the garage door if it was a nice enough day, just so we had enough space to like, package stuff.
It was like a taco truck, but in my garage. It was. I had to open the door, pull out all the tape, pull out all the gear to work, just so you can. But anyway, so the demand of the market is what built the store. And like I said, I have a full-time job. I work, Monday through Friday, and I'm not usually at the shop. So it would be like a get home from work, package, 30, 40 orders that I had somehow, and then, go inside, have dinner, spend time with the family and whatnot. And it just got so big, like he was saying, the garage got over full and everything.
Oh, did he hit the power button again?
What happened?
Who hit the power button this time?
I think it just hiccup.
Happened. It turned off for some reason.
Oh, okay.
So we're good?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Garage got so full, and then continue on.
So at that time, my wife and I were getting ready to move to a bigger house with my family, growing and things like that. And I had a conversation with Ian one morning. Ian had moved out here from Maryland, and he had, left his family and everybody behind there to kind of pursue a different career out here. And he came to one of the meetups, and I offered him a job, and I said, hey, why don't you come by my garage and help me package some orders so I can spend more time with my family. I had, I was getting ready to have a baby at that time, and he just thought it was going to be like a 1 hour, 2 hour gig, and he was wasting his time. And next thing you know, he's there like 7, 8, 10, 12 hours a day filling orders, and it, became a pretty big thing. And so around the same time we were getting ready to move, I turned to Ian and I said, listen, I've got the capital. I can blow this thing up and we can make this a big old, deal. and you, but I need to know if you can run it. If you plan to run it, if you're going to be part of this, then give me the green light. Mm-hmm. And we started talking and whatnot. I remember what kind of flipped the switch is one day I got a call from somebody saying, "Hey, I'm here to pick up some parts at your shop, and it's a house. I think the address is wrong." And we didn't really offer local pickup back then. It was all online based, and I was like, "Okay, well, Ian should be there. He'll be back. I think he went to lunch, and he was like, "Okay, hey, just FYI, UPS showed up, and there's about 30 boxes they're unloading in front of your house." And so I'm like, okay, this is not going to work out here, and I don't want people coming to my house. And so Ian and I looked around for this place. I wanted like a little storage / commercial building that we could just do all online. And my realtor found the shop, which had, what'd you say, 75% of the shop is warehouse space, and then the other 25% in the front is like showroom space. And it just blew up from there. We're like, you know what? We're in LA. We got enough population. If a certain number of people fly FPV, we'll pick up a portion of that just by walk-in traffic. Let's set up a retail store. So, next thing you know, we've got a full-blown FPV retail store, and people come in here, and I think they think it's a big breath of fresh air that they don't have to spend 3-4 hours on forums to try to figure things out when they could just walk into a store and see things firsthand. We have guys that know. I think collectively with all of our knowledge, we've probably got about 30 years of FPV, with all the people that are around. And as you know, FPV moves very quickly. So that's a wealth of knowledge, and I think people appreciate that. They can come in the shop, pick things up, feel it for themselves. And
and a lot of it too is like we offer some services, right? So if anybody needs help with their quad, like sometimes somebody will have the biggest problem, say like flashing a race flight board. I was dealing with that today. So, the customer came in and he's been like beating his head against the wall for a week trying to get this thing to work. And I plug it into my computer and I'm like, bing, 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 done. Okay. And I took all the files and just copied them to a flash drive and gave it to him. And I'm like, here, this should get you going. And it took, that frustration away from it. And, that really helps them. It really helps when they're able to just get that little bit of help they need just to get them up to that next step. Yep. Because I remember when we were first starting, it was like, if you wanted to get something going, if you're having issues with it, it was like he said, hours of forum reading and trying to get stuff figured out. There wasn't, a how-to guide on how to PID tune. It was like, okay, this is how the buttons work on a KK2 controller. Good luck. Yeah. So, so that's kind of how,
it became from the demand. It just demand, of enough people doing FPV, you're going to get enough people that are frustrated enough, So that's how the shop pretty much started, and that's how it turned into a business. Like I said, I never had any intentions of it becoming that. It was supposed to be just us getting bulk stuff so we can get it for cheaper, for ourselves.
Definitely. Now, it's actually kind of interesting because you guys were one of the early shops, early enough to actually get into that boom, because there's a lot of people that's not possible anymore. I mean, like your story doesn't work anymore because there's so many people trying and it doesn't work. So you planted your brand, everybody trusts you, and you're out there, and it's cool that you're continue to be able to do that. Now, Josh, since you help run the retail store a little bit, have you notice an uptick in people's knowledge, or are you still dealing with the same old like beginner questions every single day?
I deal with the same beginner questions every single day from different people.
Okay.
So one of my big things is that this is the theory that I kind of learned from the last hobby shop I worked at. I can take your money all day long and fix the same thing over and over and over. But I'll tell you what, that gets old so fast. Like I would rather, I'd rather give somebody teach somebody to fish rather than, give them fish, right? I'd rather just be like, okay,
true.
This is how you flash a firmware. This is how you set up CG. Like, I'd rather have this stuff. I'd rather teach you how to do this stuff so that you're not coming back to me with the same questions, right? And it's more. I feel like
not me. Just give me your money.
So I somebody got to pay them bills, right, John?
No, I'm just kidding.
And there are some people who they don't want that. They'd rather just be like, fix this. I want to fly it. And I do have customers like that, and that's totally okay too. David, Cisco.
We've got a few people that keep the lights on, so we appreciate those people as well too.
Right, but yeah, like I said, I like, ultimately I like watching people have fun, and if it if it's easier for them to get to the point to where they're having fun much faster than say like I got to that point, more power to them. They'll have a better experience in the hobby and they'll have more fun with it. And I'll tell you what, the people who are buying like, I don't know if I want like a Naze, that's a $30 flight controller, this, I don't know if I should upgrade to F3 in the beginning. Now they're the people who come in here and it's like, all right, this is what I need. I need a race flight board. I need these motors. I need these ESCs. I need these batteries. And they're listing stuff off. And inevitably, I mean, it kind of becomes more profitable, but they always end up, you get kind of a friendship built and it just works out better in the long run, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We get the other side of that where they come in and they say, I want what Steele is flying. I want what this guy's flying. Or I want to do this. And they'll come in with like a video of ripping down some canyons. And we're like, okay, what's your experience level? I don't know, but I just want to do, this is what so there's like there's a wide variety.
Absolutely.
And then about a month ago, about 2 weeks ago, we put up a actual sign on the storefront. I mean, for a while it was all social media and just knowing and, Google and Yelp. And we put up a sign, and now we're starting to get locals walking in and just saying, hey, this is pretty cool. Tell me a little bit about the technology. And, I had a guy come in here last week and say he wanted to get a drone for his daughter and that she's part of a STEM program. And he didn't know what kind. So I showed him a couple different ones, and he just thought it was a cool thing. Next thing you know, he's walking out with a full, FPV Twinies quad setup. And he took it to his daughter, and I said, here's the deal. If it's not what she wants, bring it back and we'll give you a full refund for it. And I saw it in his eye. You could totally see that he was more excited that his daughter didn't want it so he can keep it for himself and then he can get into it. And and I kept saying that to him and he'd give me this little smirk. And the guy ended up leaving. His daughter wanted a Phantom, which was completely, opposite of what we fly. And he came back with this really sad, disappointed, kind of like if you imagine somebody gets this really cool puppy and they take it home and the whole family rejects it, and you get in this big old fight with your wife saying that we can't take care of this puppy and you got to return it back. So he came back into the store and he was just defeated. You could see his wife kicked his butt, or his daughter just kind of shamed him that it wasn't the right thing. And he brought it back and we took it back for a full refund. And the guy was really happy. And he said, listen, I'm going to kind of sneak some funds out for my wife and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to get this set up for myself, as soon as I can. So, having that customer service, that hands-on feel and helping people get, finding out what they really want is kind of rewarding at the shop. But, when I say rewarding, it's also profitable.
Hey. Well, that's the nice thing about being local too, right? There's some things that make you feel a little bit more comfortable with the people that you're buying stuff from, when you can go to their shop and hang out for a little while and ask some questions and get some serious, honest answers. Not the guys trying to push something into your hand. You know what I mean? That helps out in the long run when you're learning and you're trying to develop a flying style or just trying to learn how to fly.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Now, you always want to build brand loyalty, and that's what you're doing every single time you're helping somebody out. And it's always cool to hear, because those are the shops that, me and Elvin always want to promote. We always promote, buying local, supporting the guys that are going to really help run the events, share the knowledge on the forums, doing all of the hard work. Because,
Well, it reciprocates too. I mean, buying local, I know you could probably get the same thing. Our prices aren't actually that bad. We're actually competitive with pretty much, most of the major retailers, everybody out there. I mean, we obviously can't compete with some of the China prices and things like that, but you get that instant gratification too. So if, you got a race and the night before you fried a VTX and you're out of the game, because you got to wait for even the slow boat today, 2 or 3 days from USPS or FedEx, it's still slow and you're out of the race if you don't have the gear. So coming into the store and picking up props or picking up a VTX or a flight controller, I think that's a big convenience. And our prices in the store are the same as what they are online, but you get that added bonus. So we definitely appreciate the support of the community and people buying local or buying, within the states or supporting shops like us, because that in turn helps more people get into it. In turn, generates more business and keeps us around longer.
Definitely. Now, for the people who don't know, where is your shop located in LA?
We are in a small town called Monrovia, California. If you imagine we're actually right next to Pasadena. So if you're familiar with the Rose Bowl or Pasadena area, we're right next to the Rose Bowl, right by Pasadena. It's I'd say 20 minutes from downtown.
Oh, okay, cool. So like anybody in the California area, if you can, drop by and take a look.
Yeah, we get guys from like San Diego and Ventura and 2-hour drive, and they'll come down just to. We get guys that buy stuff online and they say local pickup, even though it's like $4, $5 a ship. They still want to come down and check out the store,
because we'll have a local pickup, and every time we get a local pickup order, there's a phone number, so we call them, be like, hey, your order's ready for pickup. And a lot of times they just pick up by mistake, and then I'll see somebody and I look at their address like Fresno.
You're like, where is he coming from?
I like punch it on Google Maps, like 4 hours away. And I call them. I was like, hey, did you accidentally pick local pickup? And they're like, no, I'll be there in 3 hours, man. I'm on the road now, 2 coffees in. And I was like,
for those people out there, they want the address. It's at 941 West Foothill Boulevard in Monrovia, 91006. We're right off the freeway.
Yeah, and also our storefront isn't called Team Legit, because if anybody would walk down the street, they wouldn't know what
is that sex shop.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the name of the episode.
Yeah, what is that sex shop?
I get kicked off. I would, but that would be a funny episode name.
That's great. No, doesn't matter to us.
So anyway, the shop
is called Drones and Hobbies.
Drones and Hobbies, because I don't think you can mess that up.
Yeah,
it's Drones and Hobbies. I like that. So Drones and Hobbies, same thing as Team Legit. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hey, admit it. All they really want to do is to come to your shop and look at the cool toys and see if they can buy some more stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I have a motto. There's a very fine line you have to balance. The longer you stay in the store, the more stuff you buy. But then sometimes you get those people that are in the store all day and then nothing gets done, so it becomes counterproductive. But yeah, no, we got a pretty healthy following in the community. A lot of guys come out here and they bought quads from us, a full setup. They have no idea what they're doing. They'll drop $1,500 and they'll buy everything. And then next thing you know, they'll come into the shop and they're like Josh said earlier, hey man, I've been doing a lot of research and check out my video. And I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. They're ripping around and they're like, this is what I need. And they advance themselves, but just starting off without knowing anything about drones and just walking by and then walking into the store and picking up a whole setup. I mean, it's pretty impressive seeing what some of these guys do in just a matter of weeks.
Yeah,
it's true, man.
How does that feel to like RC has given you guys an effect, right? I mean, it's affected your life. It affects the way you think. We think about solving problems. Some of us, we're like, oh wow, look at that. He could have did this a little bit better, or whatever, But how does it feel to know that what you're doing now is starting off new pilots and starting another 20 or 30 year history in RC? What that feel like?
It's interesting for sure. Like, take for example, we have this customer. His name is Jack. So Jack came in the store in November-ish, probably. Yeah. I think like November. He wanted a Mavic Pro. He walked out of the store with a Vendetta. So he had like a Vendetta and some. I think he had like a used set of Dom V2s and.
He bought my old set of Dom V2s.
Yeah,
he bought my display V3s.
Gotcha. And then he had the Spectrum DX6E, like basic starter setup. And the guy works for Snap-on, right? So he has a bunch of downtime, and when he's he's traveling and stuff, sees cool places to fly. So Jack has an inordinate amount of time to just practice. So within a month, Jack's back.
Don't put him on blast. Now, what if Snap-on thinks it's not working?
Anyway, they won't be listening. It's actually Bob. It was Bob. It wasn't Jack. It was
Bob. Yeah. So anyway.
But so he came back, and within by January, he had like an X-Hover build that he did himself and all this stuff, and he's got HD3s and a Tyrannus and Crossfire, and he's like moving, and his plane is like right there right now. That he just built his first fixed wing plane from scratch, and like he's it's kind of cool to be able to give people starting off like I want a Mavic Pro to now they're flying long range with us, like or 399 feet up and 999 feet out. Long range.
he built that wing. It took him about I'd say 2 months, and it was 2 months of coming into the shop. What's next? Whenever he had time. But he's like, okay, my wing's ready. I'm gonna go maiden it. And I was like, listen, dude, you just built a nice big wing. You don't know how to fly wings. Why don't you just wait? I'll go with you to the field. So it was like about a week of hit or miss between he and I coordinating. And finally, we went down and we flew his wing this last Sunday, I think, Saturday. And he flew it maybe like, I don't know, 6 minutes. It was out of trim, and I trimmed it out for him. And, the vector still needs a little tuning, but it was flying, and he flew for about 6 minutes. And then we landed, and I gave him a long list of things to do. You got to do some manual you got to add some manual reflex. You got to add the RSSI cable for your vector. We got to tune your vector. We got to incorporate trims. So I gave him all these lists of things to do, and he came by the shop. He did all the stuff, and he's like, I can't wait. Ever since that first flight, I want to keep flying. I have this like really bad desire to fly. I'm like addicted to it, and so I told him he had to leave his wing here because I didn't want him out there. I have a feeling he might go try to maiden it himself and do something, but. He's hooked. He's, a lot of people call me the FPV dealer because I get people high, literally high in the sky or whatnot.
Yeah, that's you.
We gave Jack that little shot, and now he keeps coming back, and he's got the itches, and he wants to fly. So,
and the first take wasn't free.
He's not only the dealer; he takes away the toys too.
Yeah. And I fly on my own supply, which is bad.
Oh man.
So yeah, but I mean, to bring it full circle, it's really cool to be able to. It's really cool to be able to help somebody, grow into this sport, and to be able to start something new, right? I mean, we all kind of started somewhat early on in this hobby, so we all kind of have seen it evolve from, us flying in a park to, drone worlds. Like we all flew to Hawaii to go fly somewhere, whether the event was iffy or not. It was cool that we were all there, we were all flying. And it's so cool to be able to be at the grassroots of such a cool sport that's kind of taking off. And, whether it goes into like the DRL kind of way and it's all televised and blah, 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 or it's just us, killing packs on the weekends, either way, it's really cool to be part of something that's this grassroots and new.
Nice. Pretty cool. Okay. So we beat that dead horse. So let's go ahead and move on to like some of the products that you actually make. So tell me some of the things that you make. I mean, we know you make wings, so tell me about your wings.
So I'm always trying to innovate and trying to always come up with, different wing styles and different wing, techniques and things like that. Our main popular wings that we have now are the FG36, which is a 36-inch compact 3-piece wing. It's our only 3-piece wing that we have. Everything else we try to go with 2-piece. It's less, parts to put together. It makes the build a lot faster. We have a 40-inch wing, which I would say is probably one of our most popular wings at the moment because it just flies. It just flies really well. I mean, I put one together a while back. I flew it. I put another one together a while back. I flew it. And then finally, I just built one because my wife started showing some interest in FPV. And, as soon as the wife or spouse or girlfriend or somebody starts showing any interest, you just dive all in. You get them all the gear. These are her goggles. And, so I went all out. And, she's too busy with life and she doesn't have time to, enjoy it with us. But I built her a wing and I flew the 40 and it just flew amazing. I told myself, I don't know why I don't fly anything else. This is one of my favorite wings. But then we also have our 60-inch wing. So we have a 36, a 40, and a 60-inch wing. And Josh and I have been flying the crap out of the 60-inch wing.
So I love race planes. I love planes that just rip and haul and minutes. That's fine. I have a hardcore. I've got one of our older V2R planes we don't make anymore. I love planes that go fast. And I built a 60 because I wanted something, it's got a vector, all that stuff in it. It's 1.3, 433. I wanted something that was just plug and play and reliable, flies for a while. And I haven't flown my other wings in like a month and a half.
It's
because the 60 is so fun. It can like be relaxing. It's like a dual sport motorcycle, right?
No, I would say it's more like a old school Cadillac convertible. On the airbags, air ride system. That's probably more like you just cruise down the street. It's enjoyable. You got the air going through your head. So you got the 60.
But mine also rips.
Yeah.
Mine does like 80.
and
you couldn't get away from the speed, so you just put a turbo on it.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like it's like, oh, this is a nice clean car, and you open the hood, it's like a 600
that 700 transmission on it. Cadillac.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've got the 36, 40, and we got the 60. Recently, we also have our twin boomers. I'll get into in a second. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So right now I'm currently working on a 50-inch wing, something right in the middle. So we'll have a 40, 50, and 60 will be like the flagship wings. And I built it, and I wasn't happy with the way it flew, so I junked it. I got another one I built. It wasn't flying correct. So I've been tweaking the airfoil a little bit here and there, trying to get that one up and running. But the 50 should be our new flagship wing for this year. It'll be like a medium-range sport wing / cruiser or fast, however you want to set it up. It'll have that wide envelope. Then we got the two boomers, which is the Wombat and the Twin Zoo. The Wombat is basically a single engine twin boom pusher that came out of Alex, the token Swede. He was flying this other stuff, and he had some tweaks. So I made a few tweaks to some airfoils. We made the Wombat. Alex loves that. So we're like, hey, it flies great. We can offer this to people. And then recently the Twin Zoo, which is our twin engine, twin boom, airplane with a horizontal stabilizer, and it runs on all mini quad parts. So your 2206, 2300 kV, 20 or 30 amp ESC with your just 30 servos and mini quad parts. That's all you need, and it flies.
Yeah,
that's our Twin Zoo.
It kind of looks like I don't know how familiar you guys are with the P-38 Lightning that they made back in World War II. It's like that. So it's got two fuses with the motor on each one, and then it's got a center fuse. And
got one hanging around. No, it's right there. It's right there on top. It's actually, if you can see it, it's right here. I painted it like Miami Vice colors back in the 80s. But anyway, that's our Twin Zoo. That one's a lot of fun.
That's a great plane to people to get started with for sure.
Yeah.
So like, look at that. That's sweet looking. Yeah, so what was the thought process behind that? Like, was that like a good beginner plane or a cheap plane that people can put together since it only takes mini quad parts, or?
So this is the Wombat. This is a single engine pusher. I'll grab a Twin Zoo in a second. But
up there?
This thing is I don't know.
This is a proximity ripper. Basically, you put your FPV gear and you just rip through, tight gaps, trees, things like that. This was, inspired by Alex, our token Swede. He had been actually flying a Banshee or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't like the airfoil. So we put our own twist on a twin engine, on a twin boom pusher. This was actually made by Jeff Yang, 7Demo7. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with him. He built it. He was going to maiden it. And I said, that thing looks too pretty. I want it back. So I got it back. I mean, it's just, if you see the detail, it's all hand drawn.
Yeah, this is all hand drawn with Sharpie.
Wow,
yeah, it's pretty.
Looks good.
It looks good.
So, and that's the Wombat. This is the Twin.
Check that bomb out right there. That thing is the bomb.
Oh, look at that!
Right on.
And then this is the Twin Zoo.
Oh, okay. So
it's two mini quad motors on the front, servo, and a battery up front.
That looks fun. That looks fun,
dude.
As hell.
It is. The best thing about it is it VTOLs so well. You set it. We built the tail so you can set it on the tail, and because it's all mini quad parts, you just floor it and it shoots off the ground like a rocket. There's I don't think we've ever had a failed launch. It flies great all the time. Like, it's really fun to just bash around. It's really cheap. Like, as far as parts go, it's not like you need a big expensive long range gear or anything.
No, that's another ripper. It's just another ripper. All of our wings try to have a wide speed envelope. I know there's some wings out there that just like to go really fast, and the second you come off the throttle, they drop like a rock, like the Pop wing. As soon as you add any FPV gear to it, it drops like a rock out of the sky. Or there's some planes that just go really slow, like Das ugly slow stick that Josh flies. But we try to have like a nice wide envelope. So the Wombat could do about 120. With the right setup, or you can slow it down with just an efficient setup and fly for a long time. Twin Zoo, same thing. It'll, power on, it'll go and cruise around, or you can put some crazy 2600 kV motors with 51 props, and that thing just rips. So, we try to give our wings that characteristic to where anybody can fly it in any kind of condition just based on their setup.
Pretty cool. Now, if say I came in the store and I've never flown a wing, Josh, what would you say to me? What would your recommendations to me would be?
Do you fly RC and FPV in first place? Because that's the first question I ask.
Yes.
Okay, so if you fly RC and FPV, I always stuff people the 40 instantly.
Yeah.
Because the 40 it checks all the boxes. It's tough. It's really hard to mess up when you're building it. So beginners who really aren't that experienced can, even if they kind of mess it up a little bit, not a big deal.
It still
flies great. And it also gets pretty good flight times, and you can make it kind of fast if you want it to be. So it gives you room to grow, right? It's not the fastest thing out there to get started with, but it's also got some dihedral cut into it and some other special sauce stuff we do to kind of make it a little bit more. It's an all-around just a fun plane all the way around. I mean, Ian flew his for 58 minutes the other day
on a 3300
pack.
Wow.
And like you can also make them do 90 miles an hour, 100 miles an hour if you want to just strap a big motor on there. So, it's kind of it's an all-purpose airframe, and then you can kind of pick. Do you want to go, this way and make a big, long-range, efficient plane with a huge battery in it, or do you want to go this way and build like a hardcore or something that just rips and super fast?
So yeah, the 40 would be my recommendation as well too. It's just like it's all around good plane. It's so hard to mess up,
and they're super fun.
And super fun. And lately, I've been flying between all my planes in the hangar. My 40 and my 60. Those are the two planes that I've been flying the most. 60 I don't fly as much because somebody stole my batteries and they're about 100 bucks a piece.
That sucks.
The 60 runs on a 6S 8,000 milliamp. We always say 6S for success. So the 60 flies on 6S. The 40 flies on a 3300 4S or anything else. But we just recommend a 3300. So those are the planes that I've been flying the most out of. I really haven't touched anything else in the hangar much when we go out.
But as far as like getting people started, that one's really good too because there isn't like a high expectation for parts to put in it, right? So you can put my first legit wing I flew with a D4R2 and a Boscam 5.8 transmitter, and you don't need to put crazy electronics in this thing. Like, it's very simple. You need a receiver, 2 servos, a motor, an ESC, and a battery. That's it. Like, it's very simple to set up. Mm-hmm. It's just some basic mixing in your radio, and you're in the air and you're having a great time with the plane. And you can always add that stuff later on. Like I said, you can make it big and expandable to where you can add things if you want.
Put a vector in there.
You can do all kinds of stuff. But just to get started, just basic setup, no frills. It flies awesome. So that's usually what I push.
Touching on the parts here, a lot of guys think that you need to put a flight controller in it because that's all they know. They know that their aircraft won't fly. With a wing, you don't put any kind of stabilization in it, and it will still fly. Mother Nature, gravity, physics, science takes over, and you don't need a crazy computer. You don't need any, PIDs. There's nothing to tune. When we said earlier, like Jack's wing to tune, you'll have to tune the wing a little bit. You'll have to trim it out. You'll have to make sure it flies good. But after that, that's it. It's done. You could fly. You keep throwing packs through it, and you keep.
The more you know about your radio, the better off you'll be, right?
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
You know what's crazy is when quad guys were like, add some trim. They're like, what's that? I was like, yeah, it's around 6. You gotta press those.
They just need to be at 0, right?
Yeah, they're just like, leave it. I was like, hey, you gotta use your trim switch, and I was like, oh, wonder what those were for.
Add some dual rates in Expo. Well, I don't understand.
I only know that's what you do in beta flight, right? I'm like,
just give me your radio. Let me show you how to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I do. I do the exact same thing. All right, dude. Just give me the radio. Hold on.
Just let me do it. Here.
Try this. Try this.
And I like that. And I don't want people to think, wings are intimidating or they're hard or they're just, I'm not going to get into that. The thing with wings is it's a different animal. There's no rudder. So, when you're flying through and, you're banking left and then using that yaw spin, you don't have that. With the wing, it's purely what we call is bank and yank, which means you bank the plane, you use your roll axis, you use your aileron, which they don't, quad guys don't know what that is. You use your roll axis to change the attitude of the plane, and then you use your elevator, to make your turns, and that's how you fly an airplane, a wing, or most conventional airplanes. So it's not intimidating, guys. These wings are really durable too, and if you build it right and you follow the instructions, we've got a couple YouTube tutorials. You'll notice that wings are a whole new chapter in FPV. It's like opening this huge warehouse space that you never knew you had, and it's a lot of fun.
It is, and what I find is like I don't fly a whole lot of wings. I actually usually piggyback on some of my buddies to fly. What I love is that if you're in a tight space, you love flying quads because you have a very tight space. But like one of the favorite spots I have is like flying down the river and flying up the river, and it's just so scenic and it's beautiful. It's like, man, when you have a wing that can. Yeah, you don't want to fly for 2 minutes, and you want to go out and stretch and come back and watch a riverboat come down. Those are the moments where like having a wing is just really cool. And then like if you get a little bored, you can just gun it and get back a little quicker.
Yeah, do some rolls and have some fun.
When people come in here and they're like, "Oh man, how long does that fly for?" And I'm like, mixed flying is about 20. What? 20? Oh my god! How many batteries are you stuffing in there? We're like, no man, it's just one 3,300 milliamp
power
battery.
of lift.
Oh man, that battery is huge. Oh my god, that thing is gigantic. That's what they,
Yep, there you go.
Yeah. So pretty much, the 3,300 is your standard wing pack.
Yeah, it is. And hey, you know what? The power of lift. Once you realize how well it works for you, well, I'll admit, there's some people that are always going to be wing guys and some people are always quad guys, and then there are people that will flip back and forth and be happy. So
I like both. It's for me. Flying is flying, and is it's not really about. There's a different type of flying with quads, and you're doing different things. You're not, you're on with a wing. You go out with a purpose. You're flying for long distance, or you're trying to relax, or you're just cruising, or you're just out sightseeing. Like Y was saying, flying up and down the river, chasing the river boats. Hopefully you're 200 or 300 feet away. You don't want to get them startled, but anyway, be careful out there, folks, when you're doing stuff. Don't forget that, don't infringe the airspace.
You can't stop. There's no stopping, hovering, turning around. It's a constant fluid motion. So like you said, you got to have a purpose. Whether your purpose changes 1,000 different directions during your flight, so be it. But you're constantly moving. I mean, if you pull that throttle back, it's not like, or if you put the throttle at the middle, it's not going to just hover and stop in one spot. It's a fluid motion.
It is a fluid motion. It's definitely different, and that's one of the hard parts about flying wings in proximity is that there is no hover. So like you better know which direction you're going, which way. Yeah. You have to commit.
It's about commitment. And you know what? I mean, I kind of bounce back and forth. I mainly fly wings, but like when the Baby Hawks came in, I didn't put that thing down for like a week. Every day after work, I was behind the shop, like, let's set up these flags and build pylons and gates. And we had like 4 guys. Oh, dude, you know it. The sickness, bro. The Baby Hawk thing is bad. It's so bad.
Oh my god.
It's definitely addicting. I'll admit I've been flying the Baby Hawks too, and I'm primarily a wing guy. But the other thing too is if you're in mini quad guys too is when you're building them. When you build your mini quad, you put camera tilt, and your camera is tilted based on your flying attitude. So if you're in a 30-degree angle, you're flying. So when Jack built his wing, he's like, "Hey, what tilt should I put on the camera?" And I'm like, "Absolutely no tilt. I want the tilt to be 0 because
or down if anything."
Exactly.
You don't want 35 degrees of pitch.
Yeah. No, you should be looking at the sky.
No, you'll be doing loops over and over. You'll just be
straight into the ground.
So there's a couple differences, but for the most part, the technology is the same. We're using the same stuff. Wings are actually flying and gliding. Mini quads are forcing themselves into the sky, and they glide like shit.
No, they don't. They don't glide at all. They just beat the air into submission. That's the helicopter mentality. Okay, so what other services does your shop have? Now we've gone over the wings. What other cool stuff do you do?
We do a lot of builds. We do custom builds. So if anybody just doesn't have the time to build or know-how and they need some help, we do custom builds for anything: quadcopters, aircraft, camera ships. Whatever you need custom building. That's
a cool looking.
We do that.
So this is the mini Drac from Right Wing. I know you guys had Chris on a little while back. But this is the mini Drac. I just finished this for today for a customer. I'm just waiting for Goop to dry. It's going out in the mail tomorrow morning. So.
Yeah,
nice.
So we do custom builds on airplanes, wings,
quads.
We do mapping planes. We do pretty much all kinds of stuff as far as that. We do repairs on a lot of things. Certain things that we can get parts for, we'll do repairs. We try to stay away from DJI as much as possible. So if you're listening to this podcast and like, oh, cool, a drone store in LA, let me take my DJI that I just smashed into a tree. No, you better take that to DJI. So no offense to DJI, but their dealer support is not that good, and we just stay away from it as much as possible. But for repairs, you crashed your quad, you broke an arm, you need stuff, we'll fix it. You
need something soldered real quick, you need to get back in the field, we do that. And recently we've gotten into the hydro dipping stuff.
This stuff is a lot of fun. So we're doing hydro dipping. I've been practicing with a lot of the team members, gear. And so hydro dipping is really cool. It puts a really nice personal touch. I mean, being in this, in any hobby as it be, you always want to put your personal touch. I mean, let's say you're a rice burner or, one of those race car drivers, or you're a equestrian. Anything you put your own touch to kind of gives it that personalization. So we're offering hydro dipping now. We're getting really good at it. Actually, we're ready to start launching, so that'll probably be available on our website. We can hydro dip anything from goggles, Tyrannus, Spectrum radios, whatever you got, quad frames, even airplanes. I hydro dipped an airplane a couple months back. I had a shop do that, but hydro dipped a mini drag. It turns out amazing. So if you guys want to get that, check out our website. Ian will have some instructions on how to do that.
I'll take one of those, please.
Sounds good. And one thing that we're going to do too is we have cores for like Fat Shark Dominators, or for example like Tyrannuses, and different cores. So you don't have to send in your stuff and be out of it for weeks. What we're going to start offering is you tell us what flavor you want, we'll dip it, we'll prepare it, we'll put it in a package, ship it out to you. We'll swap everything over. You swap everything over and send us back your core charge. Your core. We issue a refund for the core charge. So there's no downtime. I mean, it takes you a couple hours or half an hour to swap out your electronics, and you're ready to go. You don't have to worry about sending in. But for those local guys, if you want to come in, we can break down your stuff and help you guys do it. If you don't have the know-how of how to break down goggles or radios, things like that, you can tell us what flavor you want. Send it in. As soon as it comes in, we'll swap everything over and send it right back out. So your downtime is very minimal for the hydro dipping that we're going to be offering.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to send you guys some stuff. That sounds really neat.
I like hydro dipping. I think it's a great way to add some accent to stuff that looks like everybody else's.
Exactly.
Everybody's got light dominators. Everybody's got them.
Yep.
Right. And then the other thing too is like I've painted. I'm the guy that started the first painted goggles.
Okay.
I did the first painted goggles with the eyeballs on them.
Okay.
That's where Fat Shark came out with the idea of the stickers for the eyeballs. Because he saw mine at Drone Nationals. At Nationals, he was like, "Oh, dude, that was freaky." But anyway, so I think, but people mess up. Mess up. And you're like, either you put too much, you put the wrong paint on it, or you mess it up, and then
you don't take it apart all the way, and you get paint side part. And
that's bad.
During taking it apart and putting it back together, you damage something. These things have a lot of fragile parts in there. There's a really fragile ribbon cable. I've had about 4 or 5 guys come in here trying to install LaForge modules and things like that, and they couldn't get them in right. And next thing you know, their goggles don't work. And we try to keep all that stuff on hand and quickly get people back up in the air. So
that's great, guys.
Yeah,
that is cool.
Yeah, that's a fun new little adventure. I think putting your touch on things is just the coolest thing. Let me show you our latest design that I'm going to be putting on my stuff. Hold on real quick.
Oh, shucking.
Uh-oh. Now he wants to show off. I see how it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got, as you can see, that rack he's digging in. We've got probably 20, 25 different rolls of different designs, so whatever you want.
So all my stuff is going to get dipped in this week.
Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
So we could do completely custom stuff. So if you have an idea or a print, it's going to be a little bit more, but definitely we can do 100% customization. We can, print it out and put on the rolls. Or if you find something, we'll wrap, we'll do it. And I think dipping is going to be the future of personalization.
Nice.
I think
nice.
so too.
Everybody wants something unique, but that's pretty cool. All right, so let's get off this subject and let's move on. Otherwise, we'll be here for another 2 hours.
Sure.
All right, so like you guys, not only do you have a shop, but you also help, run some meetups. You also do some events. One of the events that you did was the Wild West Wing Race. Tell me a little bit about that and how'd it go?
It was
successful.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that would be probably the best word. It was successful. It was a lot of work. These flight tests, Flight Fest, Drone Nationals, Multi GP, all these races. A lot of people think it's just fun and games, and it's just an easy little thing. It takes
so much work.
A lot of work. So organizing, getting permits for the event, getting meeting everybody's requirements, bathrooms, whatever the deal may be. Organizing these kind of events is a lot of work. But I think the Wild West Ring Racing, it was the first AMA sanctioned FPV wing event of its kind, and it was actually a lot of fun. I was running the event most of the time, so I didn't really get to participate. But Josh and everybody else, we had people come as far as like Canada and East Coast, and it was a lot of fun. It was a very successful event. That's where we gained the token Swede from. He had come out from North Carolina. He'd been flying with a group out there, and he saw the event and he showed up. But it was a really fun event. It was the kickoff to I guess the wing racing if they did at Drone Nationals in Hawaii. It was like the first qualifier event at the end of the event. They used our stats for that.
So
that's like a quarter-mile track y'all had at that race. Yeah.
No, it was the full lap was about a mile.
No,
wasn't it?
No, not at the. Yeah,
it was a long track.
2,400 feet.
Yeah, it was about. It was. Ian.
Like nobody remembers anymore.
Yeah, well, let's.
I'm looking at. I'm reading.
Come out here.
Come say hi at least once.
So yeah, basically he's saying it was I'll let him reiterate. This is Ian. Hey, he's actually the winner of that race. So if he knows anything about it, it would be this guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's that dude with that little fast monster.
Sounds familiar. I think it was about a half-mile track. We did 10 laps, which was a longer race. But I like that kind of racing where, it's not. I mean, sometimes you go to a race and it's 90 seconds for the whole thing to be over.
Right.
And, I like that longer style of race where it, it's not just testing the pilots, twitch reflexes, but you have to have, composure over, many minutes, and it goes past the, very initial adrenaline wearing off to the point where you kind of settle in and you're concentrating and you're thinking strategically about what you're doing over the course of the race. And I
an opportunity to make mistakes, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I forget.
Ladies, he's single, by the way, and that's how he is with all of his relationships. He likes to make sure they're long lasting, and there's a lot of endurance involved with that.
So Ian, this is your chance to tell a really funny story about Johnny, and then it'll go out to thousands of people. So here's your chance. Take it.
Oh man, I might have to. It might take me a minute to pick which one I want to tell.
You don't have to tell if you don't want to.
Yeah, well,
his job is on the line. So just,
oh man!
Maybe
all the years of hard work, packaging all that stuff that he was telling us about, and then it's like you're fired for
I
that.
will say when I started working for Johnny, the amount of work I was doing for him didn't go up. I just started getting paid for it. So
there we go. That helps.
It was nice because once I started working for him, he couldn't ask me to do favors anymore. When it was all just fun and games. I remember we what was it? Oh, we went flying one time. We went on like a whole weekend trip one time to a
like Havasu?
Havasu, yeah.
Yeah, in Arizona.
In Arizona, we went to a lake in Arizona and flew for the weekend. And it was the weekend that the nucleus boards came out.
Yeah,
we had a PDB for the ZMR 250.
Right. I remember that. I bought that.
Oh, dude, that was popping
2
off.
years ago. That was a hot item, right? And so we come back and we had a great trip, and stay in Johnny had the house for us, and we, it was just like it was a great weekend, and Johnny put the whole weekend together, so we're all in a great mood and thankful. And we get back here at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night
after being drained in the sun all day,
the whole weekend. We're dead tired, and we're all ready to go home. And Johnny says, "Oh, by the way, guys, while we were in Arizona, 500 ZMR 250 PDBs came in, and the people want these. Like Monday morning, the tracking number's got to be in. So I'm going to order some pizzas, and you guys are cool with staying till like 3 or 4 in the morning and just packaging.
I didn't say 3 or 4 in the morning because you guys were I said about an hour.
Say that, but that's what happened.
That was what was implied. The boss said,
like
"You're
an hour, 1.5 tops. It'll be super easy." We're all like, yeah, right. But
no one wants to. None of us want to do it, but no one wants to be the first guy to say, "Johnny, thank you for a great weekend, but go screw yourself. I'm not doing that." I'm having a great time, but for me, the best part about working for Johnny is that that he can't ask me for favors like that anymore because there's no space between having fun and doing work. So that's why I like that.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, pretty cool.
There.
Well, we appreciate you jumping on real quick.
Ladies, in case you're wondering, the key to Ian's heart is food. If you take him anywhere for food, he will be like attached to you. So that's how I get Ian to do favors now. He just thought that he didn't get away, so I'll just tell Ian, hey, gonna go grab some sushi. Oh, sushi, he'll come out. Oh, by the way, I need you to do this. And you don't want to be an ass. Somebody just buy you dinner, you got to give it up, whatever it is.
Elvin, we've just turned into a food and dating show. I don't know how it happened, but Johnny just took over. We're rebranding apparently for this week. I don't know. Cool, man. Ian, thank you for coming on. Oh no, got anything else you want to share?
Oh, I was going to say just to finish the point from earlier about the track styles. One of my favorite things about wings is that they cover a lot of distance.
Yeah, right.
And if you're doing, I know quadcopters are getting up into the 100-mile-an-hour range at points, but on a quad course, you're often starting and stopping, and there's a lot of acceleration involved. With a wing, if a wing is doing, let's say a wing is averaging 100 miles an hour over the course, it's a constant 100 miles an hour. So you can have a mile-long course, and you can be doing 30 or 40-second laps on it, depending on what you're doing. So for me, one of the great opportunities in wing racing is having courses that, let's say you have a mountain and the course goes all the way up the mountain and then all the way back down again, or, just through really interesting terrain, or you can have things that just, the course can really travel and visually change over the duration. So that's something I'm excited to see in the future of kind of wing racing. It's just more like outside the box thinking on course design.
Okay, you guys. Wait. I got. Remember, you guys remember when we was in Hawaii? And you remember when we was looking at the top of the mountain? And you could see there was like that spot, like there was those 2 big rocks,
and there was a gap. Oh, there's a gap.
There was a slight gap, and Alex was trying to come down to hit, trying to come down and trying to hit that gap, and he kept missing it because it was like from one side you couldn't see it, but from our side we could. Can you imagine if that was a gate?
Oh man. Well, that was our hope, right?
All too well.
Yeah.
I actually had something to say to him, but oh well, he left, so I guess we'll just move on. Okay, other than the Wild West, which I just wanted to say I completely agree with you. I love long races because one, if I'm watching, I can actually watch something because 2 minutes is not really a race. And let's admit it. 2 minutes will be it gets your attention, and then you're like, "What? It's already over," and then you get distracted. And you never come back.
Yeah, who wants to drive 100 miles to go watch a 2-minute race?
But especially on a mini quad because you don't even see anything. It's like a little black speck. So if you're doing longer wing races, you're hearing and seeing these things.
Love it. I do love it. But like one of the problems with watching a wing race, especially from the FPV perspective, is that because it's not constantly stable, a lot of people have a hard time watching it from the FPV perspective. That's really the only thing that I've heard why it just hasn't taken off like it does in quads. But if you're watching line of sight, it is just an awesome sight because it's visually it sounds great. You can see them, and as long as the pilots are good.
Dramamine. That's how you watch an FPV race. Take some Dramamine.
Don't be mean. Don't be mean.
I'm talking about a wing race because things are zipping by so quickly. I mean,
you don't want to get sick.
Elvin, you were at the Drone Nationals race in New York, right?
No, I wasn't there, but I watched a lot of the video feed.
Was nuts. I mean, you got tents and flags and things zipping by you so fast. So if you want to watch an FPV wing race, I would watch that Drone Nationals feed. I think we've got some stuff on our YouTube channel about that too. But it's fast. So you're like inside first person NASCAR fast. That's how crazy it is.
I think I watched it enough I could fly it right now.
Yeah, it's fun time.
Well, here's the funny thing. Okay, and then we'll get back into the meetup. Is that the Drone Nationals track was super simplistic, and I think that actually helped you guys because it was always right in front of the audience and was easy to track.
But it wasn't that way to begin with.
Right. Well, and also it wasn't simplistic. It was simplistic if you looked at it on a map. It's like, okay, yeah, it's just like a simple track. Visually, it was so difficult to fly this race because it was like there was flags in tents and that big curly thing and like all this stuff.
There was a tree in the middle?
Yeah, there was like a tree in the middle of it, and then you had to fly over the tents, which was great for spectators, but it was so difficult to keep on the track. That was the hardest part. Everything else was, the actual track was super easy, but like the navigating it was a little difficult the first few times. And we had people crashing out on weird things. Like Hugo slammed into the top of the pilot's tent. I hit a tree twice, 2 different planes totaled. Yeah.
Oh. Ow. Yeah, that happens. Yeah.
It was a lot of things. And like you said, it was really cool to have it in front of the crowd. When we got there, that wasn't the case. The wing track was way down on the other side.
I saw that.
Yeah. So nobody was going to be able to see that except for, maybe they'll hear it. But their course had us flying over, pedestrians that were just walking on the island. So jointly, the people of the wing racing started, bitching and complaining to get them to move the course back into the, scene, back into the actual quad course. So, that kind of contributed to having an awesome race. And I think that pretty much opened up everybody's eyes to wing racing, to saying, hey, this could be something, and it maybe bigger. I might be speculating here, bigger than quads, because you could bring in the spectators to see these things zipping through.
Especially when the courses get better. I do think that the courses have been a little tight, because we're trying to work in a constrained area, trying to stay in a certain field or on someone's property, But when we get a moment where we can actually, like the course you guys built at Wild West, the first one in 2015, that was a hell of a course. I mean, it was long. You guys had some good turns. There was a couple of spots where you could pass somebody in a turn. And I heard a lot of that happen while that race was going on. And that's the kind of stuff that really pits a pilot against another pilot and cause, some good airborne drama. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we're not talking about the normal drama that we deal with. We're talking about airborne drama.
There was battles.
When you get one pilot leading in a turn and another pilot, he might choke off a little bit, and that pilot drops down underneath and comes up around the front of him because he know when to hit the throttle at the right time. So
we also had air-to-airs. That was cool.
Huh?
We had an air-to-air collision, one good one on the straightaway.
Wow.
Our buddies Tim and Bob were racing.
They were battling
for a lead, and Tim kind of came down a little bit to go through the gate. And, you don't have a lot of field of view when you're going that fast. You're just looking forward. And he went like that and just hit the top of his plane. And it just spiked full speed right in front of everybody into the ground. Parts just everywhere. It was awesome.
Yard sale.
$5 to the person who finds the VTX.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we were doing. I was picking up bells, motor bells.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
It is cool to watch the competition, especially when it's close. That's where it's at. That's why NASCAR is good. It's because everybody's always jammed up to each other, and you're just waiting for that mistake, or you're waiting for that big lead change.
Good.
Bucking for that mistake.
Bucking for that mistake. All right, so you guys also run meetups. So like, what do you do on your normal meetups when you're hanging out?
Are we talking about the grinder or Tinder meetup? No, I'm just kidding.
All of the above? I don't know.
No, just kidding. So, so we, I run a Facebook group called SoCal FPV Aviators. If you're not from SoCal, don't try to join. You won't get in. But if you are from SoCal, SoCal ranges all the way from Ventura all the way down to San Diego, as far as Palm Springs. So that's our SoCal FPV meetup. And I try to usually do 2 camping trips a year. And when I say camping trips, it's like FPV related camping trips. So bring what you got, come out and fly, come out and have a good time. We do a mix of long range. We do a mix of short range, some mini quad stuff, some, airplane stuff. We'll do a little bit of showing off of some new technology and things like that. I try not to do any sales there. The only time we ever do sales, somebody will message me, hey, I'm heading out to the meetup. Can you please bring me this, this, and this? I just don't have them. But it's not a monetized, deal. We don't ask for people to have money or anything like that. We just set a location. I mean, a couple of years ago, we did Dave's Beach, which is a lot of fun right on the beach. We've done Trona. We've done El Mirage. So these are like scenic spots that are kind of secluded in Los Angeles. So we actually have a meetup coming up next month, and if you're in the FPV group, you'll see that. But we're going to set up a nice little camping trip. We usually leave Friday. It's not organized. It's not like we have flags and race gates and stands, and it's just a bunch of guys get together, have some fun, be responsible and enjoy the hobby. Just kind of like where Josh and I started up like 4 or 5 years ago. We just try to put this on, and I feel like every time we start one of these meetups, we gain somebody new to the group. Yeah. We had Josh, we had Bob and Tim that weekend, and Ian joined, which was a funny story one night, and then Alex. So we kind of do it as camaraderie, bringing the community together. We've had a lot of people show up to our meetups that have no idea about FPV, but they want to learn. They saw a video, they joined the group. I've had events where young kids come in like, hey, I built this wing. Even if it's not our product, I built this wing, and I just maybe want an expert or somebody to kind of help me out and show me how to fly it. Sure, no problem. We got a lot of guys there with lots of knowledge. We'll get guys coming in, and they're very curious about it, but they don't have anything. They don't know where to start. They've never seen it, so they'll join, or it'll be word of mouth. Somebody will tell their neighbor, hey, if you want to check out the stuff, join this meetup, and come out and camp out with us and check out the event. So we like those meetups. We like bringing the community together as much as possible.
Those sounds like really fun meetups. I wish there was one around here, to be honest with you. So pretty cool.
If there isn't, start it.
It's a whole lot of work, I'm just saying. Exactly. I got enough on my plate as is. Elvin, go start one.
You don't want the extra work.
I do not need the extra work right now. But that's pretty cool. All right, so let's get into the last part of the segment because I want to be a little bit respectful of your guys' time. So sure. Let's get out the magic ball. And let's try to predict where wing racing and where FPV flying for wings is going to be. So in your guys' opinion, because you guys are really knee deep into all of this culture, like where do you see like Fun Flies and FPV wing racing going? Have you seen an uptake this year, downtick, or what's your predictions?
Given that I've been doing FPV for about 7 years, I would be probably considered like a grandfather or like a very ancient FPV person, and I've seen the boom. I've seen it before when it was just like 1 or 2 people on the forums doing it, and there was the homemade wood or aluminum from Home Depot quad frames, or the KK boards, or back when it was even the multi-Wii when they were hacking up Nintendo Wii controllers to fly a quadcopter. Or back when we mentioned earlier, Chris, the right wing stuff, when Trappy used to do those really cool videos, the
Z1
been around. It's progressed so much. I mean, to being, I don't want to say televised because it wasn't actually on TV, but live streamed on ESPN is a huge, move forward. Or putting on these huge race events in, Paradise Island, down in Hawaii, or on Governor's Island in New York. I think it's come a long way. I still think it has a little bit of work to do, and I don't know. I mean, when you say shake the magic ball, I would hope it would be monetized sport where people can actually make money or a living off of it. Is it there yet? I don't see that currently, but I do feel, it will get there one day. The biggest thing we have to cross our fingers for and hope for is regulation. Make sure that some rogue regulations don't pass through that outlaw them. Like here in LA, you can't fly FPV in the city of LA. Any of the incorporated parts of LA, there is no FPV allowed by any means. But I just hope that the regulation is not there to choke the innovation or the hobby. I just hope that it helps out, designated areas to fly in. I really would hope that people getting into it now and people that have been into it are respectful of it. Don't go buzzing over freeways. Don't go buzzing over crowds. Don't do things that are going to jeopardize the hobby. I've heard it so many times. You're going to ruin it for all of us. You're going to ruin it for all of us. And I feel like that bar just keeps getting pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed until one day it's going to break. Somebody's going to do something foolish and it's going to cause something. Luckily there has been no midair collisions with, commercial planes or scale planes. But I hope and I keep my fingers crossed that people won't literally ruin it for all of us and regulation stays at bay. What about you?
As far as like the future of like wings go, I'd love to see them more widely accepted for like filming practices and stuff like that too, because I think that's a really cool aspect that a lot of that's missing out on, right? Because with a drone, it's kind of like the cheap helicopter in the film world, right? So like, but it won't do the same things. It's not as fast. It won't chase, for an extended period of time. But wings kind of have that capability. So I'd like to see, I'd love to see more application in that kind of world, building really big wings to carry, like a Red Epic or something. That'd be amazing.
Wow. That would be really cool.
But that'd be really cool, like a gimbal on a giant airplane. Like that would be really cool.
It'd be good for like some scenic National Geographic.
It has to be like a 200-inch wing, man.
Yeah, well, I want to go to like the Baja 1000 or something this year, or like the Mint 400, and go out with wings into the desert and just chase trophy trucks across the desert. That sounds really fun.
I think that sounds like an epic weekend right there, baby.
For sure.
That's November.
Yep. So that's a goal. But as far as like the racing stuff goes, I mean, I'd love to see a lot of like communities kind of coming together, because I feel like there's like a few cliques in the wing racing sport right now, and when we're all together, it's fine. But everybody in FPV, as far as like some of the long timers, they're kind of keyboard commandos.
Yeah.
So they kind of bicker and fight and like but when they're in person, it's fine.
I think that's how it is with anything.
But they kind of like pick at each other online, and it's like, I just wish if we could kind of mellow out a little bit in that sense, that'd be kind of cool. But I'd love to see, like a good community built around wing racing, right? Because I feel like the quad racing community is blowing up, and there's a lot of really cool things going on. Like here in LA, we have like the LA Tiny Whoop meetups where they shut down a whole bar and they race Tiny Whoops in a bar. They have the Rainbow Road Race, which is that the Flytron LED guys set out that crazy track down in San Diego and race that whole track. Orange County.
They actually have a designated field that's open 24 hours. Well, I don't know about 24 hours, but open 7 days a week down in Ventura. I don't know if you guys seen any of that. It's a multi-GP chapter. I think it's called OG
Raceway.
OG Raceway, or something. And it's basically a quad racetrack. They're actually starting to incorporate wings in them as well too. So some of the guys down there, I don't know if you guys know Ricky Martinez and Corin, they're setting up wing racing down there, and that's going to blow up, I feel, as well too. But where I'd like to see it go, or where do I think it's going to go, I think it might stay grassroots for a little while until somebody like Mountain Dew or DR1 or somebody like that picks it up and puts rules, guidelines, and then starts hosting auditions for top pilots and things like that. I think it'll probably stay grassroots. I mean, Drone Nationals made their best effort to try to bring wings into the spotlight, and they did a pretty good job for all the BS that was around that, and they brought it forward quite a bit. They definitely advanced it. I know Elvin, you've been flying wings for a long time, and when we started with the Z2, or back in the day when we had the big planes, nobody thought about wing racing. There was nothing. There was no racing. It was multi-wheel, Turnigy motors, and that was pretty much it. Now, you got 20, 30 different vendors competing for a block of that huge market.
Yeah, and it has changed. there was a time when there was only 2 or 3 vendors for wings as by itself, and there was like Wing Warriors and Combat Wings, and then
Zaggy,
the Master, that's the Master.
Yeah.
And the rest of them, were manipulating one airfoil. That's how you look at it. Really, I mean, there's just
only
being honest.
Ways to build things. Yeah.
Right. You can only do so much with EPP, right?
Right.
But there was when they started adapting different airfoils to different types of flying, that's when the ships really changed. And then Assassin came out. I mean, who was the Assassin came out, which changed wings for a little bit, because we finally saw a wing that didn't have winglets, right? And it was that first one. It kind of blew everybody's mind. It brought back everybody back to thinking about the concept of wings, right? I mean, really, the Horton wing was designed on a lot of the aspects that we have developed. We've taken to different points. But why I was talking about stableness of wings, and I wanted to get on that a little bit before we close up on this. A lot of different designs fly differently, and different wings are meant for different things.
Right.
Just like we have 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch quads, 6-inch quads. If you want to go fast, that's where you got to go. So, different people set up different wings to do different things, and it may not be the actual appropriate thing that the wing was designed for. So when you push the wing past its design envelopes, that's when you get unstable video. You get, rockiness, yaw bucking. If you go in too fast and the wing airfoil was designed for slow flight, then you start to see the wing fighting itself to go faster. And it's more of a waste of energy than an efficient flight path. All those things are affected, but everybody just should get a wing. Try it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really simple. You can buy cheap wings. You can to start off. That's what I tell people. Those pop wings that you guys still sell on your website.
Yep.
Those are awesome entryways into wing flying. They give you a great development phase.
And they're cheap.
Something that you could just grab the stuff and move it to the next one. And then once you get a little confident in your flying skills, go get a 40-inch or a 36-inch legit FG. And if you really like that, you're going to love big birds. Big birds are just the natural thing. They're just slower. They're usually moving faster, but because they're so much bigger, it just looks like the rotation is slower.
Yeah, you got to figure out what do you want to do? I mean, just like when you're getting into mini quads or any kind of drone, do you want to do aerial filming? Do you want to do racing? Do you want to just do freestyle? Do you want to do longer range cruising? It's the same thing with wings. Do you want to do fast proximity, low, between trees? Or do you want to get up there and cruise and just, enjoy the scenery? Do you want to do some coastal videos? Do you want to make videos? Do you care about any of that? Or do you just want to experience the freedom of flight? And it always goes down to, how deep is your pocket? What do you want to spend the money on? Do you want to, go full vector stabilization and have that insurance where, you can just let go of the sticks and just enjoy the scenery? Or do you want to, be like this guy, destroy 1,000 wings by trying to get a 36-inch wing through a 20-inch gap? So you got to figure out, where is your style? Do you want to do racing? Do you want to do, just have a wing in the car you can throw at, any regular park? Do you want to do FPV? Do you want to do line of sight? So you got to figure out all the questions, find out what you want, and then find out what fits and ticks all your little boxes.
Right. Give yourself a purpose to start on flying, an idea. It is a great wings are great, and quads are awesome too. I know everybody says that I dwell a lot on wings. I got 30 years of experience. You know what I mean? I've been flying wings since 90. So, I got a long time of flying wings, and I've been flying helicopters just as long. So quads is just is the blend for me between the two. Mm-hmm. That's why I think it it works so well for me, and it's easier for me to pick up on stuff like all the tricks and stuff like that because it's just that blend. I understand that whole bind between the two of wings and quads.
Well, you've had the pleasure of enjoying a wing. You've had the wing give you something back, which is whether it's the freedom of flight, whether it's just being able to see different perspective. You've enjoyed that, and so like we talked about Jack earlier, once you have that wing satisfaction, you want more of that. It's just like any drug, you get that in the endorphins or the adrenaline going. You want to keep experiencing that because that's human nature. So you've been rewarded. You've seen the rewards of a wing. So you want that. You continue to drive for it. I'm more of like a want to go out and fly. I don't want to sit there and tinker. I don't want to play with things. I want to build my wing. I just want to have it keep flying. I'm not as risky as he is. I won't go through the 20-inch gaps in a 40-inch wing. And so I'll be up a little bit higher. My actual favorite thing to do is tandem flying, doing dog fighting, Goose and Maverick. And you got 2 guys, 3 guys. We've had like 6 deep once just flying, and we all have the biggest wing in the front because they're the easiest to see. And then everybody just kind of falls in line, and we play this little hop. What do you call it? Leapfrog.
Yeah.
You get that feeling, and you're just flying. You're like, all right, cool, I'm locked on. And then, holy crap, Josh just flew right in front of me, and almost took me out. Or I like that. That to me is probably one of my favorite things. And if we can combine that in a scenic, area, I think that's good. It's good video.
Some big country team racing there. That's what that sounds like. Some big country team racing.
That's fun to me. I don't know. I mean,
you did say that you was talking about chasing across the desert. That sounds like something that if you guys really do something like that, let me know, man. Keep me posted. That might be something I will definitely think about joining you guys on.
Get your passport because it's in Mexico.
Oh, look at that, Mexico.
There we go. See that? All right, I'm gonna work on it.
He's gonna work on that.
I'm gonna work on that. I gotta work on my passport anyway, so.
You do it. Come out there with us, man. We'll have an RV.
I'm interested. When you said November, right? November
is the Baja 1000. So
I'll have a cold beer and a tequila for you.
Yeah, so I might. We'll see what's gonna happen. We'll see. I'm gonna put that on the list, though. I'm interested.
On the list. There you go. I'm not a wing guy, but there's 2 challenges that I would love to see from the wing guys. Is that number 1, you guys are long distance freaks. Most of you have this innate urge to do long distance eventually in one point or another. But I haven't seen many guys challenge it vertically. I'm kind of wondering when you guys are willing to do that. Instead of going 5 miles across, why don't you go 5 miles straight up? I want to see that. I'm just saying.
We've never done that before.
We've never ever done that before.
Why would you try to get us to commit a crime?
Hey, I'm saying you can do it legally. I'm saying you can get the permission, but I'm just saying.
It's a lot of it's really difficult. There's a lot of challenges involved with that, and I remember that when we were trying to do the space drop. Under 400 feet is the general rule. If you're in an unincorporated area, but that's what we were talking about earlier. We don't want to do something, silly and jeopardize this, flying up high in the air. And the next thing you know, you got, 747 buzzing past you. And now you got, phone calls of UFOs spotted out the starboard side of United Airlines flight or, whatever it was. So that's why you don't see a lot of that stuff.
Oh, come on. You guys can hold an event and get it approved through the...
the approval for it. The only way to do it, and I don't want to throw too much out there, you have to find restricted airspace and get permission to use that airspace.
Yeah. Okay. We got that space up here, baby. We got that space up here. We got a nice 100 and something mile area of restricted airspace. We just got to get a permission.
Hey, I would love to see that. If you can get it done, I think that would actually, doing something that extreme will kind of push the face forward of wing racing, because it's something mini quads just innately can't do. We just don't have the battery time to be able to do that. Long range, you could long range horizontally, you can get away with that on a bigger quad, but when you're
it's a lot of power to go up.
Yeah, but when you're chopping air, you're going straight up. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said earlier, Tim always says it. Mini quads glide like shit. So the second, with a wing, you chop that throttle and you just let science do the work for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's it. That's an increase of 40. That's 40. We need 40% more power to climb to that altitude.
Yeah,
I just did the math.
Yep, but for like mini quads, it's ridiculous how much power you need. And it's just based on also like lighter air or like less dense air,
right.
Stuff
like
that.
Thinner air.
Thinner air. That's the
Bigger
right word.
props.
And the other thing that I still haven't seen, which I'm kind of surprised at, is like a lot of you guys still haven't, try to push the boundaries of these new HD systems that are coming out. Kind of wondering why you haven't really converted over yet.
I'm scared of it because I'm afraid I'm going to like it so much that instead of buying a $30 Swift, I'm going to have to buy like
okay, that's a legit reason.
Yeah, I still haven't seen any long distance. I mean, 5.
Yeah. I've heard rumors of people flying like 2 miles on Connex, but we'll see.
And the other thing too is
I've heard 5. I heard 5.5, but
I think that's kilometers. I don't think it was miles.
You can't flip a plane into stabilized mode and hover.
Right.
So you lose that video. You need that reliance. So
you can get a vector.
You can put a vector in there. Nice wide open space. I mean, if Connex is listening and they want to send us a unit for testing long range, we will definitely push it to the limit.
Yeah. There you go. I like that. But those are my only 2 things. I love you, wing guys, but I don't need another hobby. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah,
that's too much money to spend.
It's not another hobby. It's just another branch of a hobby you already love.
Yeah.
Exactly.
$2,000 later, not another hobby. No.
Yeah. Just wait.
Just wait.
Next trip I go on, and he's there.
Oh no,
he's flying.
I'll throw the 60 in his hands. The 60 is easy to fly. It's a big Cadillac.
It's a big Cadillac. You guys are terrible. You're going to get me in trouble with my wallet again. All right, let's go ahead and start wrapping up. Let's go ahead and show where you guys are on the internet and where people can find you on the internet. Josh, where can people find you and all that good stuff?
Myself, my Instagram tag is XJJosh on Instagram. Just Josh Woodruff on Facebook. And you can see me, and I try to work in some of the Team Legit videos, but I end up, shipping orders and keeping customers happy while we're in the back hiding, shooting fun videos, or I'm behind the camera. Yeah. So you can find me there. And Johnny's runs all the big accounts for Team Legit, so I'll let him plug his stuff.
For the other guys, the Token Swede is Alex's Instagram, and he's actually been adding a lot of content lately. So if you guys want to follow him, LBR61 is Bob. Crash a Lot is Volker.
IC Jeffries is Ian.
Ian Jeffries, IC Jeffries is on Instagram. For all of our stuff, www.teamlegit.com, hyphen or no hyphen, you don't need it. Teamlegit.com is our website. Our YouTube is FPV Team Legit. Our Instagram is FPV Team Legit. And we also have drones and hobbies if you guys want to, catch the backside of stuff. If you guys want to catch all the quirky stuff, we have a Facebook group as well, too. Instagram and Facebook is where you'll see all the behind-the-scenes stuff, the day-to-day stuff. We'll usually take pictures and snap that out. So that's where you can find those. And then if you don't know me, I'm sure you guys see me on Facebooks and all the other social medias. But I go by Team Legit on pretty much everything out there. Or Johnny Meg on RC groups, but that's where it all started, back in the days.
Pretty cool. Hey, I appreciate you two spending the time, sharing your story, having a few laughs, turning our podcast into a dating website for some reason. I'm not sure where that one came from.
Ian's phone number, if you guys are wondering. I'm just kidding.
That's so mean. Ian, we love you, buddy. He's hiding back there right now saying, why am I getting all these chills? What's Johnny doing up there?
He's in the office. Believe it or not, some of our vendors are from overseas, so their time frame is different than ours. So he stays in the office late sometimes to send out some communications or talk to them live or whatnot. So, yeah.
Pretty cool.
We appreciate you guys, too. I mean, this podcast is great. I like that you guys are including us. You guys aren't being discriminative of the wing guys, and you're including us in your podcast.
We love the wing guys. Yeah, we
love everybody, man.
Like talking to Alex Greaves is like a 3-hour marathon, though. That's
oh, dude. Wait, okay. You think he's good sober? You should see him when he gets intoxicated.
I
listened at Drone Nationals 2015. I listened to him belligerently scream about the Immersion 600 milliwatt transmitter for like 30 minutes.
Wow. I can see that. I can see that from Alex. Oh, that's funny. Okay. We'll have to ask Alex. No, we won't get you in trouble. Alex. All right. We're cutting out. Thank you so much for joining us. And that is the end of this episode. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.